startup and you want to go from zero to cash flow, that's what we're going to talk about today. Um, previously I called this how to create your dream job through entrepreneurship. So I want to kind of get started here and just kind of let you know an overview of what we're going to cover today. Yeah, Joy Grace, welcome. So this is an overview. I'll talk a little bit about who I am. It's really not what this is about, but I think it's important to know my background. And we're going to talk a little bit about why you should start your own business and maybe why you would want to escape from traditional employment. And then, the heart of this all, and I am going to give you a ton of value today, is what are the fundamentals to take you from zero to cash flow? I'm going to give you the big picture today and the main pieces of what is required in order to do that. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people at different levels in their business, probably over 800 business owners, but there is a set of fundamentals, and I've been working with so many businesses for so long. I actually have this down to a formula that as long as you do your part, this program really works. And then one of the things I'm going to be revealing in this call in a little bit is the emotional hot button branding exercise, where you can get into the mind of your buyer and make them feel the emotional triggers of where they want to do business with you. So that's something I normally only do with my paid clients. Um, and then, I'm going to teach you as much as I can in this call, and at the end, I'll show you how you can get more. And I got some free gifts for you, and I got a couple special offers. So, at any time, if you have questions, type them in the box. I'm going to try and stick on track to my presentation, but I will be paying attention to any questions you have, and I'll try and address them where relevant. So and at the end, I will be doing an open question and answer, and let's just rock from there. So, first thing is, who is this webinar for? It's for a couple different groups of people. Good to have you here, Joy Grace. Good to have everybody here, Coxie. So, first of all, startup entrepreneurs who are looking for the best possible opportunity to get started making a new income. One of the things I'm about is I don't have an agenda of what specific business you should go into. I think that everybody has unique talent, skills, abilities, and so employee escape plan is really about customizing a business around you, creating your dream job, not what I impose on you, but it's really about what are your strengths, what are your talents, your skills, your abilities, and your passions. And when you have a business that's in alignment with what you're good at and what people will pay you for and what you're passionate about, you're in the right spot. Also, if you're an entrepreneur and you have an existing business and you want to get it to another level, um, then this is the place. And if you have a job and you want to eventually quit that job and start your own business, this is who this is for. Just a couple things. This is not get rich quick. This is not do nothing and click a button and make money. Client results always vary, and you'll have to take action. The results you get are entirely up to you. What I'm providing you is a proven, solid fundamentals track to run on. So who is Joe Nicassio? I've been a consultant for over 800 business owners, 150 industries. I'm an author of a book called Resurrecting America's Entrepreneurial Spirit, subtitled A Practical Approach for Creating Jobs. And this has got me on television, radio, that kind of stuff. I am an authority on job creation by nurturing entrepreneurs. And I'm the founder of the Employee Escape Plan Mentoring Program, which is what we're going to be talking about today as an overview, and you will learn some value. Just the structure itself, I think, will give you value, even if you don't get into the nitty-gritty details. I will be teaching you some nitty-gritty details today, again, as much as I can in the time allocated, and again, I'll show you how to get more when we're through. And I'm an encourager of entrepreneurial success. I am the #1 fan of entrepreneurs. I really believe I'm on a mission to help people be self-reliant through entrepreneurship instead of employer-reliant. And, I like to think of myself as the world's best business troubleshooter. So if you think you've got a problem that can't be solved, bring it on. I love a good challenge, and I love solving business problems. And I used to troubleshoot really high-tech electronics, which was actually very sophisticated. Today, I troubleshoot businesses and business owners, the inner game, the outer game, both. And I'm a business truth seeker and mythbusters. I've been I've been somebody who's made money in business. I've lost money. I've rebuilt. I've done all that stuff. And one of the things that after you've had any kind of setbacks in business, I went on this relentless obsessive compulsive quest for the truth of what really really works in business, and I have found some truth. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot of mythology out there too, and so it's real easy to get sucked into the wrong plan. So in my quest for the truth, I've had to like sort through a lot of piles of manure to find little nuggets of gold, and so hopefully I'll share some truth. I am a Mormon, that's part of my life. Who is Joe Nicassio? That's part of my faith. And I'm also a brown belt in Shotokan Karate, going for my black belt test in a month or so. So that's just a little bit about me. Some of my core beliefs, I'll share three of them today with just some ideas that kind of drive me. Number one, I believe children are born as geniuses, then conditioned into mediocrity. Everybody has the capacity to do phenomenal, remarkable things with their life. I just think life sometimes beats us down and makes us lose our sense of possibility. And so I believe you have the genius in you. Sometimes it's not what we learn that is going to make us successful, but it's what we need to unlearn. Next thing is I believe children don't lack capacity; they lack mentors. Most of us were not mentored by marketing geniuses and entrepreneurial gurus that really were like billionaires. Fortunately, I have been mentored by like amazing mentors, people like Jay Abraham and Tom Hopkins, Dan Kennedy, Joe Sugarman. These are all people I personally had chance to meet, work with. There's so many more. I'm a man of many mentors. I've been blessed to just be somehow brilliant people have gravitated towards me. And the third belief is, success is inevitable when you master the fundamentals. Again, I just think we never really taught the fundamentals to tap into that genius that we were naturally born with. So those are just some of my beliefs going into this that I wanted to share with you. Warren Buffett said risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. And I don't think entrepreneurship is so risky. I think when you know what you're doing, when you add value to the marketplace, maybe you don't make a sale every day, but when you know what you're doing and you can contribute to somebody's life, they will pay you for it. And it's not as risky as people make it out to be. So here's a question, and this is, I'm going to throw some ideas here. Why do you want to escape from your job? I'd like some participation on this, but let me run a couple ideas. Is your job like a two-story outhouse where management is upstairs and the employees are downstairs? That's one reason some people like to escape. Maybe you want to escape from your job because you work for idiots or you have the boss from hell. Um, Sometimes it's not the work that you're doing. It's not what you're doing, but whom you're doing it with. Um, Maybe you love your job. Maybe you make lots of money, but you have golden handcuffs and you can't spend time with the people you love. What good is making money if you can't even spend time with your spouse or your children or, the people that are really important to you? Uh, I know a lot of industries, like the automobile industry, if you're selling cars on a car lot, they change the schedule every week so that, like, you can't even take a college class because they own your schedule. And so maybe time freedom is one of your reasons why you might want to escape. Maybe you just don't work well for others. You're not the boss of me. Maybe, you just want to run your own show and you don't do well taking instructions from others. Or, maybe it's just time for you to stop working for the man and be the man or be the woman. Just take charge of your life. Again, when you're working for the man, you're employer reliant. And I'm really on a mission to help people become self-reliant. So, a lot of times people say, "Oh, Mondays suck," or "I don't feel like going into work on Monday." Mondays don't suck. It's just another day. Your job does. So, and here's a little assessment. Employers give employees performance reviews. Have you ever reversed the role though and given your employer a performance appraisal? So here's kind of 9 questions. I'm going to just rip through these real quick. Are you paid generously? By the way, any of these questions could be deal breakers, and this could be why employee escape plans for you. But are you paid generously? Yes or no? And for some people, that's not a deal breaker. Um, Second one is, are you mentored by wizards? Sometimes we're on a job, but we just don't learn and grow from brilliant people. Are you challenged to become a champion? It's really helpful and beneficial if we're actually in an environment where we're challenged to grow and stretch and We have accountability and people we can learn from. Do you have the ability to be promoted into management or leadership? Yes or no? Are you involved in important decisions, or are you kind of just a cog in the wheel in the machine? Are you part of a cookie cutter process where nobody wants the cookie cutter to be changed or improved? Are you appreciated, and is that reflected in your pay? One of the things people say is, there are things in life more important than money. Yeah, there's things in life more important than money. One of them is gratitude, and of course, one of the ways you can demonstrate your gratitude is the way you compensate me. So, are you appreciated verbally, but more importantly, does it reflect in the way that you're taken care of in terms of your compensation? Are you on a mission to make a dent in the universe? Or are you doing just some kind of, mindless gibberish that doesn't really make you feel like you're making a contribution to the planet? Are you empowered to make executive decisions, or you just have to kind of follow the leader and fall in line? And are you trusted? Do you trust them? Do they trust you? Any of these could be a deal breaker. So what I'm going to do now, this is a chance for a little participation. What are your reasons for starting your own business or making your business succeed? What are your reasons? Go ahead, type them in the box. Take about 30 seconds here and just be interested to know what motivates you to make your business successful. Dagmar wants to help people get their message out to the world. Yeah, a lot of us have like this really amazing message to change and improve the world, and we don't want to keep it a secret. Innovation creates new ignorance, and so you might be doing, some people are doing amazing things, and it's like a big secret to the world. And so, yeah, we want to get that message out and share it with the world, make a dent in the universe. That's great, Dagmar. Jeffrey, yeah, I know you're a family man. You want to spend more time with your family. Jeffrey's got a big family. Gotta spend time with the family, the people you love. No more golden handcuffs. Jorge, I want to make a difference to help others be different. Tell me more about that, Jorge. Hoxie, want to help people to discover their true beauty. Yeah, how many people don't even understand and appreciate their own beauty and how radiant and glowing it can be? That's awesome. Okay, so we got some good reasons here. So let's kind of rip into this. I want to just kind of get into, teaching you and sharing with you what I've got. Um, oh yeah, own your own time. That is huge. A lot of people think money is wealth, but I think discretionary time, true wealth is discretionary time. I really believe that. Anybody else, you just want to own your own time and your own schedule? So the first part, I'm going to go through a quick overview here of what employee escape plan is, and this process, the method to the madness of how this program works. So the first thing is, you need to choose your business. You need to plan, and all these start with P. As a matter of fact, I'll just planning, positioning, packaging, promotion, persuasion, performance. That's the outline. So the first thing, the biggest reason people fail in business is they choose the wrong business for them. So we want to make sure we choose the right business and really fine tune that, because if we get this wrong, we're kind of doomed. If we get this right, it's like having the wind at your back. The second piece is positioning, and this is getting into the brain of the marketplace. So when we say that we're branding the brain of your avatar, what does this mean? Everybody in the marketplace has a brain, and when they have a problem, they access a part of their brain, a position in their brain to solve that problem. So, for example, say you have a problem. The problem is you need to ship a package halfway around the world that needs to get there overnight. For some people in their brain, there's a position, maybe called FedEx, holds that position for overnight shipping. Well, we want to do the same thing with your brand so that when people have a problem, they think of you and your business as the solution. Does that make sense? And you know what? If you get this wrong, everything else in your marketing will be wrong. If you get this right, it's going to be a little bit more like having the wind at your back. So this is a critical piece, and we're going to go a little deeper into that today. I'm going to teach you something that I only teach to my paid clients. I'm going to teach that today for the first time. The next thing is now that we understand that brain psychology, we want to package you attractively. We want to build attraction with stories and offers. So if I took any of you, Jeffrey or Jorge or Dagmar, any of the people in this room, and we had packaged you in a brown paper bag, or if we took you and packaged you in a powder blue Tiffany box, one would be perceived as more valuable. And the way we do that, does that make sense? We all want to be that Tiffany package person, not the one that's in the brown paper bag, because we want to package you attractively so that it's easier for people to understand and appreciate your value. And the way we do that in marketing is with storytelling and offers. We need to have an offer that's irresistible, that makes sense to our marketplace, but we need to wrap it in a good story. And I guess I'll tell a story that I tell. Nobody wants to hear an advertisement, but everybody likes a good story. So here's a story I tell about my business. And I'll just do this as an example. But so once upon a time, a man was walking down the street and he fell into a hole. So he's screaming for help, and a man hears the screams for help, and he throws in some money, but the man is still in the hole. So he keeps screaming for help, and a priest comes by, hears the screams for help. He says some prayers and drops it in a Bible, but the man is still in the hole. Then a doctor comes by, hears the screams for help, writes out a prescription, drops in some medications, but the man is still in the hole. And then a friend comes along, hears the screams for help, and he jumps in the hole with him. Now the man is livid. He's like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Now we're both in this hole together. And the friend says, that's true, but I've been in this hole before, and I know the way out. Follow me and let me show you the way. My name is Joe Nicassio, and if you're in a hole called a dead-end job and you want to start your own business, I'm that guy that's going to jump in the hole with you, teach you how to start your business and get it done right. So the offer is if you'd like to have that conversation, give me a call. So doesn't that feel better than an advertisement? So now that you're packaged, now that you've got a story and an offer, you want to get that story and that offer out to the world. You need to get the story out. You want to get the message out. The right words to the right people with effective media. Um, and there's so many ways to promote now. In the employee escape plan, we really focus on the 6 offline marketing methods of fast growth companies plus online. And you know what? If you're just trying to create an online business and you're neglecting the offline part, you're just leaving so much money off the table. So don't be an internet business. Be a business that uses the internet. Use both. Use both offline and online. That's a recommendation. And now that we get the message out to the world, we'll talk about that more. Shar, your good story challenge is promoting and selling. Okay, so promoting. So now you got a good story. Um, one way to tell your story is to do it by yourself, one-on-one prospecting, picking up the phone, smiling and dialing. But, there are promotional methods to get leverage, and we'll talk more about that later on in this webinar. But, the better you are at marketing, the less you need to focus on selling, because if your marketing is good, people are pre-sold. And finally, you get the next piece here is persuasion. So your promotion is getting your message out to the world. And, some people will actually raise their hand and say, you know what, I'm interested. And it's really powerful when people raise their hand and they show that they're interested. Now you can persuade. You can find out if it's a good fit or not. And, to me, persuasion, to me, closing a sale is helping people make decisions that are good for them. Helping people make wise decisions. If it's not good for you, if the truth is it's a good fit, great. If the truth is it's not a good, great. I'm here to help people get to the truth of a good fit. And there's no need for any kind of snake oil sales techniques. If you really understand the persuasion process and you do all the other pieces right, people will come to you predisposed to buy. One of the things I do is I do a lot of networking, public speaking, radio, television, and even if people love what I'm saying, they're not necessarily ready to hire a business coach the first time they meet me. And so one of the things I put together is a 5-part video training series where you get a video, and then 3 days later you get another video, and it's all just straight up training. And the whole idea is if people take the time and watch all 5 videos, um, the people that call me are already, eights, nines, and tens on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as buying temperature. How cool? What, type in the box. What difference would that make in your business if the only people you talk to were already somewhat pre-sold and they were eights, nines, and tens on the buying temperature thermometer? Go ahead. What would business be like if your marketing was so good, people were predisposed and pre-warmed up? Cool. It is cool. You got so much, you can either chase people or be chased. You can be making outbound calls, but it's so beautiful when your phone's ringing or people are contacting you and saying, I'm interested. So Dagmar still needs help with the persuasion. Yeah, oh, that's fine. We'll talk more about that. And then finally, now that you've persuaded and people have said, yeah, I want to buy from you and they paid you, now you can perform and deliver the goodies, do the work. When you have a job, somebody else is probably doing the planning and positioning and packaging and persuasion, so that you show up to the job so you can perform. So being a business owner, there's more stuff that you have to do. The good news is you can also get more reward from it, and you can also get more time freedom as a result of it when you own the race course, if you will. So let's kind of go in and drive this a little bit more deeply. Let's talk a little bit about uh, planning and choosing your business wisely. There's kind of five keys to the planning, and number one is what are you confident at? What are you good at? What are your knowledge, your skills, your abilities, your talents? Now, if you want to have a good business, it's really important that you're competent and you know your stuff. They say that the best salespeople are confident, and the best confidence comes from competence, knowing your stuff. But you know what? That's not enough. The second piece is what are you passionate about? What is it, that makes you inspired to wake up each morning and face the day excited? When you're passionate about your business, you're actually looking forward to waking up and getting to it because you're making a difference in the world. You're living inside your bliss, as Joseph Campbell would say. Um, and the next piece is, what is the marketplace actually hungry for? So I tell this story, once upon a time, marketing genius Gary Halbert, by the way, this is a true story, was doing a marketing think tank. And he had a group of other marketing geniuses in the room. And he said, he asked a question. He says, um, if you were going to open a restaurant and you had one advantage over all other restaurants, which advantage would you choose? The first guy said location, location, location. Halbert said, okay, almost right. The next person said, I want the best chef. He said, okay, almost right. Next one said, I want bargain food. He said, almost right. The next person said, a nice facility, ambience. Okay, almost right. The last person said, customer service. This is almost right. Here's what Gary Halbert said. He says, if I had a restaurant and I had one advantage over all of the restaurants, I would want a starving crowd. If I have a starving crowd, location doesn't matter. They'll go off the beaten path. If I have a starving crowd, it doesn't matter if I have the best chef or the cheapest food. They're starving. They'll eat whatever I serve, whether it's hot dogs or steak or lobster. It doesn't matter. They will buy whatever because they're starving. Uh, it doesn't matter about having a nice facility. You could have a street taco stand. If there's a starving crowd, they'll stand in line and they'll eat off the streets. And you don't even need to have good customer service. If you have a starving crowd, you could be like the soup Nazi in Seinfeld. No soup for you, no soup for you. Why do you keep buying the soup? He's so rude because the soup is so good and we're starving for it. We crave it. So here's the question for you. How can you take what you offer and identify what is your market starving for? What is your market starving for? Because once you identify this, it's so powerful. Interesting, Dagmar. They're interested. They want traffic. There's two parts of internet marketing. One is traffic, and the other is conversion. Back in the day, and by the way, sometimes the problem you think is the problem isn't always the problem. I remember I was at a Jay Abraham billion-dollar internet summit back in the year 2000. He brought all these geniuses in that were like experts at the internet, and people were talking about how I have a million hits to my website, It's like, well, how much money are you making? It's like, well, nothing yet. It's like, so, HITS, HITS stands for, it's an acronym. It says how idiots tell success. So you got all this traffic, but it's not converting. That's good. You're an expert at conversion. So maybe that's what they're actually starving for, Dagmar. Maybe it's not the traffic. Maybe they're actually starving for the real result at the cash register. And then, another part is, what is the sweet spot? We're going to talk about this a little bit more in a moment. So, what are you good at? What are you passionate about? What's the hunger? Well, if you put all these three together, choosing the right business is this balance of all three of those. There's a starving crowd, and you're passionate about serving them, and you're really good at doing it. And the fifth piece is here, in terms of choosing the right business, you want to be scalable. The main objective employee escape plan is to get you from zero to cash flow in 90 days. To have a good plan, to have a good position in people's minds, to have the right psychology, to then package that attractively so that you promote and then persuade and get the cash register to ring so you can perform and do the work. So the employee escape plan is designed to get these 6 pieces in place so that your cash register does ring. And then once all those pieces are working, then you can scale, put more energy into the pieces that make most sense for you so that you can, so the purpose or the objective employee escape plan is to get you from zero to cash flow. Once you're cash flowing, then you can scale so you can start going to, I don't know, 5K a month to 10K a month and start, maybe moving towards 6 figures. But the main objective is to get the systems in place, from zero to cash flow. Let's talk a little bit about, finding that sweet spot. I don't know if you can see this graphic or not. Maybe I can zoom in on it a little bit. I think there's a way for me to do that. So, in the employee escape plan, I actually grind these things really deep. So what are your talents? What are your skills? What are your competencies? I have worksheets for all this. What are your aptitudes? These, what are your gifts? What's your expertise? What are your proficiencies? What are your knacks? Accountants have tangible assets. When you go to college and you get a medical degree, you go to medical school, you get a medical degree, that degree is a tangible asset, but it actually doesn't have much value because the degree is not where the value is. It's the ability to heal people. You have talents, you have skills, you have abilities. In the scriptures, there's a story of the parable of the talents. And one man was given a lot of talents and he multiplied them. Another was given a medium amount of talents and he multiplied them a little bit. And the other guy, he took his talents and he buried them. He didn't multiply them at all. I believe, again, children are born as geniuses and then conditioned into mediocrity. I believe that everybody has talents. Everybody on this webinar has talents. The challenge is we were never mentored in how to monetize our talents, how to turn our talents into treasure. That's what the employee escape plan is really all about. So even though your assets that accountants look at are tangible, the stuff that helps you create the tangible assets is all your intangibles. And then, again, in the program, we take this really deep with a lot of one-on-one coaching. What are you passionate about? What are you enthusiastic about? What delights you? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are your dreams? What are your pastimes? What are your obsessions? What are your pursuits? So, these top 2 circles, what do you do best and what do you love, are about you. They're about you. But the third piece here is what will the market pay you for? Where's that starving crowd? This is about the marketplace. And let me give you, thank you, Jeffrey. This is valuable stuff. I'm changing people's lives with this, and I really know I'm doing meaningful work. What is your crowd starving for? Here's really good news. The world is full of problems. There's full of problems. That means that the world is full of opportunity. And there's 2 kinds of opportunity. There's 2 kinds of problems. The problems people will pay to solve and the problems people won't pay to solve. And so if you can identify a problem people will pay to solve, a problem that they're actually starving to solve, and you can bring your talents and your passions to this, that's your sweet spot. So I'd like to just kind of pause here and get your comments. What's been most valuable about this chunk so far? What's been most valuable about this planning part, about choosing your business wisely? It's really about choosing your business wisely. If you had a business, can you see that if you had a business that you were good at and you loved and people were paying you for, that that would actually be the components of a dream? Yeah, so Dagmar's got this business and she's got these components. Sometimes a little fine tuning can make a big difference. Uh, you love what you're doing. Now the question is, Dagmar, have you positioned it so that what you're doing and what you love is what people are starving for? Because once that's in place, life gets a whole lot easier. Does that make sense, Dagmar? Right. All right. Any other comments? Otherwise, we'll just move on here. So we talked a little bit about this, positioning. I think of you as the solution, um, branding the brain. So there's kind of like 5 keys to this. And, in the employee escape plan. So, by the way, I just want to go backwards here. You know, um, in the planning part, in the employee escape plan, we go into all 5 of these really deep. I just did a superficial overview of the sweet spot. Uh, Bleeding to resolve. Yeah, they're starving to resolve. Yeah, there's a saying where the pain is large. If the pain is large enough, people will pay any price. So think about this. People imagine that God forbid this never happens, but say you're walking down the street, you get hit by a Mack truck, you're laying in the middle of the road bleeding. Okay, then an 18-year-old kid with acne shows up in an ambulance. Do you ask him, how much do you charge, or do you say fix me? Do you say, can I look at your resume, or do you say fix me? Do you say I need to get 3 quotes before I get your business? No, you just say fix me. So when the pain is large enough, we don't care how much it costs. We just want the problem fixed. Okay? And so the more in the starving crowd and the pain thing, people are about 700% more motivated to avoid pain than to move towards pleasure. So think about that. So the second piece here is positioning. And we want to make it so that we really understand the brain psychology so that when people have that problem, they think of you. So the first piece here is to really have a solution to a problem. So in my business, do you know how a lot of people have soul-sucking jobs that they hate going into every day? That's a problem, right? Well, what I do is teach people to go from zero to cash flow in 90 days so they can begin the process of starting their own business so they can eventually escape. And my program's called the Employee Escape Plan. Problem, solution. And this is the first step in your positioning is to get these broad brush strokes to have this understanding. Does this make sense? The next piece here is benefits. People need to know really clearly what you get when you do business with me. In the case of employee escape plan, you'll get the planning phase so you choose the right business so you won't end up failing later because you chose the wrong business. The second piece you'll get is this positioning piece, so you'll be able to connect with people's brains. Uh, the third thing you'll get is the packaging part so that you can be more Tiffany versus brown paper bag so that you have a great story and a great offer. The next thing you'll get is how do you promote that effectively so you're not wasting your money on ineffective promotion. So you'll get education and implementation on how to get this wheels in motion. Um, and then you'll get the persuasion part so you can close the sale when people raise their hand. And then finally, what are after you get the sale and you perform, what are the marketing steps you do there? So you get all these pieces. So in your business, what do you get by doing business with us? The next piece is why you're unique and special and different. I really don't think I have competition. I believe I am absolutely unique. There's a lot of people out there that teach you how to get from one job to a better job, like career counseling. There's a lot of people out there, oh, you're an entrepreneur already. They'll teach you how to be a better entrepreneur. Almost nobody is building this bridge, how to go from employee to entrepreneur. This is the space I live in. And I bring so much uniqueness to this space and so much personal caring to help you. My goal is to help get your success story. I want you to be so successful. I want you to be so happy with the program that number one, you'll be a repeat customer. Number two, I want you to be so happy with the program you'll, give me referrals. And number three, I want you to be so happy with the program you'll give me video testimonials. And I bring so much unique value to that I am not just a preferred choice, I'm the only choice. As a matter of fact, one of my clients said, Joe, you're the only person I've ever found that could help me solve my business problems. That's what you want. You don't just want to be a preferred vendor. If you want to create this thing called the point of onlyness, like you're the only solution to a problem, then they have no other choice. You're the only one that can solve their problem. Then that's a powerful place to be. The fourth, key to positioning is, what are your customer avatars' emotional triggers? And I'm going to actually, near the end of the call, we're going to go deeper into this. I have a drill that I use with all of my clients. Whenever I'm doing a sales situation, every time I go to sit down and write copy, I do this map, and it's so powerful. Um, and we'll cover that in a little bit. And then finally, now that you've got this positioning and here's the solution here's the problem we solve and here's the solution we offer and here's what you get, how do you make that message consistent with your business name, your slogan, your logo? I got this little logo here, Employee Escape Plan, with the man with the tie and the wings. It represents my program visually, and it's on my business cards, it's on my website, it's in all these different places. So what's been most valuable about this positioning piece? Type a comment. What's the one that you need to work on the most? What's the one most important to you in your progression? Type it in the box. By the way, the word branding comes from actually like branding cattle, like you emblazon a hot iron on the ass of your livestock so it identifies them. What you're doing is how do you emblazon your message in people's brains so that how do you actually brand them so that when they have a problem with you? The emotional triggers. Yeah, you're going to like what I'm going to share on the emotional triggers a little bit later. Yeah, you are unique, special, different. It's you're all a unique DNA, and we all have a unique thumbprint. We all have special, unique value to bring to the world, but we need to connect that and communicate that to people so they get it. So let's move on to the next piece, which is packaging. Um, Learning PEP. What's PEP? So now we need to put packaging. We need to create an offer and storytelling around you. I can definitely help on image branding. All right. So there's 5 keys to packaging. So um, in this presentation today, I'm teaching you, why something is important and what are the components. And then, in the employee escape plan, we really drive deep into the how. Today, I'm giving you as much as I can on the limited time that we have. But in the program, we take the how very much deeper and get into that step by step and implementation. As a matter of fact, one of my strengths as a coach is I'm very big on my ability to get my clients to implement. And the way we do that is breaking everything into baby steps. There's actually 5 keys to implementation. You might want to write these down. Number one, if you want to implement, you need to know what to do. What to do is pretty readily available. Just Google it. Second piece, though, is how do you do it? People need to know what to do, but you need the nuances of the fine details of how to do it. A one-word change in a headline could have a 5,000 percent increase in the response of that headline. So there's nuances in how you do it. The third key to implementation is the resources. People need the resources so they can implement. And the fourth key to implementation is people need feedback, both positive and negative feedback. They need positive feedback to know when something is good enough so they can pull the trigger and take action. The second piece to feedback is negative feedback because you need somebody to tell you it's good, but there's things missing, so let's improve it. And then the fifth piece of implementation is accountability. So we say a coach or a mentor is your best friend and your worst nightmare. I'm your best friend because I'm going to teach you what really works. I'm probably going to be your worst nightmare because I'm going to make you do what you're supposed to do even when you don't feel like doing it. Because when you go through the employee escape plan, I want your success story. What good am I if I don't help you succeed? So it's really critical and important to me that if you come into this program, that you walk out the other end of the program, truly generating cash out of your business and having all those pieces put together. So, the first thing is, people need to know what's in it for me. Well, we talked a little bit about you're going to get this and you're going to get that, but if people see I get a lot of value out of this, then that's a very attractive packaging. The next thing is, what do you get? It needs to be really clearly presented. Your storytelling needs to be really clear, and the offer needs to be really clear so that people know this is exactly all the good stuff I'm going to get by spending a certain amount of money. I'm going to get a lot of value, and I'm going to get a return on my investment. I'm going to get a return of my investment and on my investment. And by the way, a lot of people, if you ask, do you guarantee what you do? A lot of people don't guarantee what I do. My employee escape plan, I actually have a guarantee. I guarantee results, and I'll tell you more about that at the end. But it's attractive when you can make it safe for people and you can reduce the risks. Another part of your packaging, what does it cost? When you get paid properly, and the client pays for value, not hours. When you're packaged attractively, when you're Tiffany packaged, when people see that you've got a good offer, it delivers the value. It's really clear that I'm going to get good stuff out of this. That's very attractive. It's very Tiffany, and people, people will pay for quality. They'll pay for quality. People don't always buy for the lowest price. If everybody paid for the lowest price, we'd all be driving Yugos or Hyundais. How do you explain, if people want the lowest price, how do you explain people driving Mercedes and Bentleys and things like that? Because they perceive it as more valuable. And then I was just talking about this risk reversal. Attractive packaging is you make it, the buyer is protected. It's safe to buy from you. Here's a good question. How can you make it safe for people to buy from you so that they feel completely safe moving forward? The more you can remove the risk off people's shoulders, the more your sales will multiply and skyrocket. This is really powerful. It's really true. And finally, do your marketing materials represent your solution? I've worked with clients in the past. They had like amazing messages, but then they delivered their message on something that came out of an inkjet printer. Quality literature printed on 4-color glossy, nice paper has an emotional, psychological impact that makes it feel a little more Tiffany, to make you feel it's like, wow, this person's real. They're quality, and their marketing materials represent an attractive package. So, of these 5 keys, which of these is most important to you? What's the one that you need to work on most? Is it, communicating your value in terms of what's in it for me, or do you need to, clearly present your story so there's no mystery as to what you get? Do people see the value and understand and appreciate the value that they'll pay for it? Do you need to make it safer for people to buy, or do you need to present yourself better? Which one's for you? Type it in. Yeah, presentation makes a lot of difference. Awesome. By the way, I really appreciate you guys all being here today, taking a little time out of your day. We're only go about 15, 20 minutes more, and we'll wrap it up. But I just wanted to say I appreciate you taking your precious time and spending a little time with me. By the way, is this all valuable so far? So the next piece here is okay. Now you got this great story, and it's rooted in a solid brand. Now it's time to promote and get your story out to the world. You know, um, um, one of the mistakes people make is they say, "I need a website," okay, but they haven't planned it, they haven't positioned the brand, they haven't packaged the story in an offer. So they're jumping into promotion and they haven't done all those other pieces. No wonder their websites fail. No wonder, because you can't just go out and promote unless you got a great story that represents a great brand, with a great offer. That makes sense? So, 5 keys to promotion. Number one is relationship. Ultimately, we want to get the word out and tell our story so that people get a sense of who I am and what I'm about, so they want to have a relationship with us. The second key to promotion is, you don't just need to promote through advertising, where you can turn your customers into your sales force. If your customers are you're serving your customers and they're happy, they will tell other people. But you want to have a system to do that. There's a big difference between word of mouth and a referral system. A referral system is a formalized, systematic way to turn your customers in. And let me share something with you. However many businesses you are, no matter how many clients you currently have, if over the next year you can have them bring one friend along. So you have 12 months to talk to your customers, invite them to share this with their friends. If over 1 year all of your clients bring one friend along, your business doubles. So if you have 100 clients and they all over a year bring one friend, your business doubles. How powerful is that? That's really powerful. And then, the third key to promotion is keeping visible to your market through networking, writing, speaking, website. It's not enough to just put a message out one time. You need to be out there. You need to be in the thick of it. People need to hear your message multiple times. So, I've been doing a lot of YouTube videos lately. Gold nugget for the day. Does everybody get my gold nugget for the day? Hopefully that's a way to keep me visible in front of you, to keep, thought-provoking messages in front of you to give you value. So you want to keep visible. And then just being visible and promoting is not enough. You need to use what's called direct response marketing. You want to make it easy for people to respond to your promotion. So you need a phone number. Pick up the phone and call, or click something and schedule. I'll go ahead and put this in right now. The thing I like most is, if you like the value of this conversation today, I'm going to ask you to click on the link. I just put it in the box here. Schedule an appointment with me. Schedule a time. This is one of my free promotions, free fast track to more client strategy session. But here I am doing a webinar. I want you to have a way to connect with me after this. And it's amazing the number of people that take out ads, but they don't have some kind of call to action to give the prospect the next step. And the fifth key to promotion here is keep in touch system. So, you really have 2 lists going at any time. There's the prospects, the people that have raised their hand but they never bought, and then there's a whole separate list of people that have raised their hand and bought, and you quit them. They're 2 different lists, and you want to keep in touch with your clients, and you want to keep in touch with your prospects. So which of these 5 keys has been most valuable to you so far? Go ahead, type it in the box. I'm going to get into something really cool in a second here. Keep in touch. Yeah, follow up till they buy or die. You do need to follow up. And if you're having problems with money, there's 2 things I recommend. Maybe it's an hour or 2 hours of prospecting, maybe an hour of prospecting time to go talk to new people, and at least an hour a day of follow-up time to go back to people that have shown an interest and raised their hand, to go back and follow up. Okay, so this next slide is super cool. So in the employee escape plan, we kind of focus on these 7 methods of promotion. Did attractively, and now you need to promote it. Where do you promote it? You can promote it, number one, through quality literature. It's so nice when you can hand people a nice four-color glossy 8.5 by 11 that tells your whole story without you opening your mouth, where they read it and they're like, wow, either I want to buy or wow, I'm interested. So quality literature is one of the 7 methods of fast growth companies. If you want to grow quick, quality literature is a good way to go. By the way, the employee escape plan, we don't do all 7 of these at once. The whole idea is find one that works. If we find one that works, then we can scale it. And once that's working and it's a system, then you can add another one. But one of the things I think people do is they scatter their efforts. They're doing too many things at one time. So the next thing is once you got your story, maybe you can do events or parties, customer appreciation parties, or trade shows, or seminars, or webinars. These are all events. Direct mail. You know what? Direct mail still works. Postcards are very inexpensive and they're tangible. People have to touch them. Advertising, strategic, intelligent advertising works. Emanuela, thanks for coming by. I'll have a recording if you want to catch up the tail end. I'll send you a link to that when it's all through. Would you like that, Emanuela? You want the recording? Okay, cool. And then the next piece for fast growth companies is publicity, PR. We say advertising is what you pay for, PR is what you pay for. Why pay for advertising when you can be a featured story in the radio, television, magazines, newspapers? I wrote this book, Resurrecting America's Resurrecting America's Entrepreneurial Spirit. Hey, guess what? That got me on television. Do you know how much an hour of television time would cost me? A lot. But because I had a good story that was relevant and impacts a lot of people, they do that. The sixth method here is Salesforce. You got a great story, you verbally tell it through yourself or through your people. Uh, and then the last one's the internet. So the first 6 are all offline. And so, one story just channeled through multiple media, it makes your life a whole lot easier. And once people become a customer, that helps maximize your back-end profit. So what's been most valuable about this conversation so far? What's been most valuable about what we talked about so far? Which one of these is the one that you think is going to be your home run? By the way, if you're only doing internet stuff, yeah, publicity is huge. If you're only doing internet stuff, you are leaving so much money off the table. If you're doing online stuff, do it, but do something offline also. All right, let's move into this persuasion piece. So I have so much to teach on this, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do it all in this call, but it's basically helping people make decisions that are good for them. So there's 5 keys. I'm going to rip through these. We're running. I'm going to probably go 5. I scheduled this to go till 12:15, so about 15 after the hour. I'm going to try and get done, on that time or before that. So, first key to persuasion is really focus on what can I do for you and how can I help you. It's not about me, it's about you. It's not what about I do this and I do that or we do this. It's like, what can I a priority on the customer and their needs. And that's the next bullet point is needs. If you want to persuade people, you want to develop rapport about the past, the present, and the future of your prospects and ask really good thought out questions that help them um, see the value of what you're offering to discover if they're a good fit. And by the way, if your agenda is to get the sale, that's a terrible agenda because it's a win-lose agenda. If you get the sale, you win, but if you don't get the sale, you lose. It puts a lot of pressure on the salesperson and the prospect feels it. So here's the shift. You want to shift from trying to get the sale to getting the truth of a good fit. If the truth is it's a good fit, great, that's the truth. If the truth is it's not a good fit, great. You win every time you get to the truth. That takes a lot of pressure off. Does that help? The next piece here is to persuade is to get the client's objectives. Your clients have objectives, and if you can show them that I can help you move from where you are to where you want to be, I can connect the dots for you. I can help you get there a lot faster than if you could on your own. If you're tuned into your client's objectives, their important objectives, and show them how you can help them get there, that's very persuasive. The fourth piece is presentation. You clearly present, here's who I am, here's what I got, here's what it'll do for you, here's what you should do next. Here's how I can help you. When you present yourself as a solution to the problem and you're genuinely somebody who can help, that is very persuasive. And finally, big key on persuasion is, at some point, it's like, I've listened to you, I've asked you a lot of questions. Based on what you've told me, I can really help you. Would you like to get involved in our program? You need to be able to ask the question. And, if you ask, you shall receive. But a lot of people in persuasive situations are not asking the question. So, what's been most important to you? By the way, I have so much more on persuasion that we actually do in the employee escape plan. This is simply, some key bullet points to persuasion. But what's been most valuable about these 5 bullet points for you? What's the one that you need to work on the most? By the way, can you imagine doing persuasion without having promotion? Can you imagine doing promotion without having the packaging? Can you imagine doing the packaging without the positioning? Can you imagine doing the positioning without the planning? So and one of the reasons I think I'm different and unique is, a lot of people will teach you selling, but they don't teach you branding. A lot of people will teach you branding, but they don't teach you copywriting. A lot of people will teach you, how to choose a career path, but they don't do all the pieces. And so I'm bringing together all the pieces. That's what's so cool about Employee Escape Plan is it's a complete solution. I believe people, they don't want to buy a partial solution. They want a complete solution, and Employee Escape Plan is a complete solution. So Dagmar says she wants to work on really getting clear on her client's objectives and helping connect the dots for them. And Jeffrey says building rapport and recommendation. Yeah, in terms of recommendation, people say, well, they'll start a conversation real early and say, how much does it cost? And I always say, it's malpractice to give a prescription without a proper diagnosis first. So let's do a little diagnosis before I start throwing numbers out. It doesn't make sense to give you a prescription until we've done some diagnosis. Does that make sense? Okay, so now that you've planned, now you've persuaded, and they said, yeah, I want to do business. Now you got to deliver the goodies. So of course, there's 5 keys on this one. The first thing is communication. You want to be really clear. Clear communication is what's going to really give you a successful client engagement. Um, if you're not communicating clear, it's going to sabotage the performance of the work that you're doing. The second piece here is you want to manage expectations by making clear delivery promises. Big piece I learned is, executive coaching is all executives need to learn how to ask for clear next steps and buy when. Clear next steps and buy when. So here's your next step. I need to be sure that you're clear about what your next steps are and by when. And here's the clear next steps I'm going to deliver and by when. Because without clarity, we're all wondering. And I don't have time to be wondering, and most of us don't have time to be wondering. Um, and that comes in the form of these requests. If everybody understands what their part is, there's no murkiness, there's no cloudiness. It's just crystal clear. And keeping your word, you can be counted on, and the client must keep their word as well. So if you're keeping your word, the client's keeping their word, there's going to be a really good chance that we're going to have a successful client engagement. And finally, going the extra mile. We want to do everything we can to meet and exceed the client's expectations. Okay, Joy Grace, we'll address that. So which of these 5 keys to performance is the one that's most valuable to you? Which one of these is the one that you want to work on the most? What's the one that will make a more meaningful impact for you? What I want to do now is just open up to questions, answers about what I've covered so far, and then I'm going to get into that emotional triggers piece here in a minute. So if you have a question, a general question at this time, go ahead and give it, and we'll get into this emotional trigger stuff in a minute. If you have questions, great. If you don't, we'll just get into it. See some typing going on. I don't know exactly. It's a race to the keyboard. So if you have a question, go ahead and type it, but I'll go ahead and cover this emotional trigger stuff. Can I back up to the performance screen? Yes, I can. So communication, clear communication, promises, managing expectations, requests, getting clarity on everything, keeping your word, getting the client to keep their word, going the extra mile. So what you want to do is take a piece of paper, draw a line down the center, create this Cartesian looking graph. I mean, it's very logical, but what's going to come out of this is very emotional. And if we have a guinea pig, if somebody wants to play here, I can actually open up a mic and anybody can participate on this. But yeah, so the first thing we want to do, does anybody want to play here, or should I just do this in hypothetical land? This quadrant right here represents frustration. Oh, Coxie, thanks for coming. Do you want a link to the replay? So this is a hot button map. This is so powerful when you do this. We use this in the employee escape plan, and this is something that you'll use over and over again. So like for employee escape plan, a lot of people are frustrated because they got a boss from hell. Maybe they're frustrated because they don't have time control. Maybe they're frustrated because uh, um, they're not making the kind of money they want. And the fear might be dropping down into this bottom left quadrant is if I don't fix this, I'm going to live a fraction of my true potential. So what do you want? You want to turn all that around. You do want to have time freedom. You do want a chance to actually create wealth. You do want to have a chance to live in your greatness as opposed to being a cog in the wheel. And the imagined future is you can actually create a legacy. I can go pretty deep into this. Any questions about this idea? I'm going to actually take somebody on the air here and play with you on this if you want. Otherwise, don't underestimate the power of this grid. So maybe for Dagmar, maybe you're frustrated because you have a website that's not converting. Maybe you're frustrated because you're just not generating enough leads. Maybe you're frustrated because everybody promised. Oh, Jeffrey will play. Okay, great. So Jeffrey, I'm gonna open up I'm gonna open it up so you can we can see you and hear you, and you're gonna just need to approve it on your side. Jeffrey was first, Dagmar. Yeah, but Jeffrey typed faster. Jeffrey, just approve the video and audio on there, and we'll get you on the screen here. Telling me it's waiting for you to respond. Actually, I can get both of you. Hello, Jeffrey. Hello, hello. Or demo. Oh, Dagmar's coming.
I just said you're the wrong
We'll start with
camera.
you, Jeffrey. We'll start with you, and then if Jeffrey gets in, we'll give him a little
Hello?
time too. So, your ideal client. So, tell us a little bit about who they are and what are their frustrations. What do they want to move away from?
What they want to move away from is that they have no idea how to do all the online stuff to get clients online.
So, online isn't working.
Yeah, they have no knowledge about it. They are coaches most likely, and they
Right.
do not know the technical side of it.
They don't get how to make it work.
Yeah.
Okay, what else are they frustrated about?
Not knowing what converts. So they think a nice website that does the work, but that's not the case.
So, how would you say, what are they moving away from?
Um, a website that is just dead, nobody's around.
They have website shame.
No, not shame.
Some people
They
actually have
they think
website
they have.
shame.
What does that mean?
Some people actually have website shame, meaning, it's like I do have a website, but they're always apologizing for it, like it's not done yet, or there's still has to do work,
No,
right?
no, actually, most of the time they have a website, and people tell them it's a beautiful website, but it doesn't convert.
It doesn't work. Okay. And if they
Convert
continue
or work,
on
yeah.
having this online presence that isn't working and they don't know how to make it work, and what's this lead to in the future,
No business,
right? And
not enough customers,
what's worse than that is
no money.
failure to fulfill the internet promise, right? Everybody's being told that the internet's this great opportunity where we're all going to make money, but I'm failing at it. I'm
Yes.
afraid that I'm just never going to make this work.
Yep.
Okay, so how do we flip all this around? So how to get their online working, right? And it actually their
And
website brands them well.
yeah, and
And
actually I teach them what converts because people always ask for traffic. But as you said before, traffic is one thing, but if the website don't convert, help. It just costs money and time.
right, so they want to save time and generate income.
Yeah.
And if they get all this working in the future, what does that mean for them?
They can do what they do best and what they love. So not dealing with technical stuff, but dealing with what they have started their business for, what they want to do.
Okay, so so when we do this, we actually want to take it pretty deep. But are you frustrated? Are you tired of a website that doesn't work? Are you frustrated because you can't decode all this techno babble, and you're almost ashamed to show people your website because it just doesn't represent you well? And if you don't get this website stuff fixed, you end up having no business and you fail to fulfill on the internet promise. My name is Dagmar Schultz, and I can turn this around for you. If you want to get your online presence working, if you want to be branded well, if you want to generate leads and generate sales and save time, so you don't waste your time on stuff that works, but actually do the stuff that works and generate income from your website. And if you want to ultimately live the dream with passion and prosper from your website, you need to be having a conversation with me. Does that make sense?
Cool. Makes sense, yeah. May I
So
have the recording?
of course. So, if you grind down deep and you take really exhaustive on the frustrations, really exhaustive on the fears, where you really hit the resonant buttons, this is powerful. Can you see the value of this?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Any questions on this? Comments from other people in the room? So this is one of the things that, when you get these pieces down, it's so much easier to put your marketing together. And see, here's the key. I'm going to give you the secret. This is the one you want to write down for your notes. When you can demonstrate that you understand your prospect emotions, when you can demonstrate, I understand your situation better than you do. I can articulate your frustrations better than you can articulate them. I understand your fears better than you do. I understand your wants and aspirations better than you do. When you can demonstrate, I understand your situation better than you do, you're going to come to a natural conclusion that I have the solution, or you have the solution. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, Dagmar, I'm going to just go ahead and get back into the presentation, but thank you for playing. So let's go ahead and if there's any other questions and answers here, otherwise I'm going to move into, are you ready to plan your escape? I'll ask for questions and the answers at the very tail end also. How do you create your dream job through entrepreneurship? What are you worth? I have a couple gifts. I have a free copy of my book is available. I've also made available a chance to schedule a time with me. And I'm going to make an offer to you right now. You don't have to take action on this, but I'm just going to throw it out there for people that are interested. What's your freedom worth? 24,000 a year, 36,000 a year, 48,000 a year, 60,000 a year. Guess what? Employee escape plan's $3,000. The promotion today is $19.99, and it's guaranteed. I just want to make sure you have the guarantee. With the employee escape plan, you're guaranteed to receive the fundamentals. I'm going to teach you on all this stuff that's guaranteed to create a cash flow. You're guaranteed 12 coaching sessions. Once you've completed the 12 sessions, you must do your part. My goal is to give you a 200% return on investment. So if you pay me $19.99, you're going to get back double that. And if you've done your part and you don't, I'll keep working with you until you get that extra money. I just really believe that if you throw money at me, I should help you be able to get money back, and I stand by what I do. So that's pretty much the presentation today. I think right on time, but I want to leave this open for any questions and answers. Do you have questions? Would you like a free session? There's a link for the free session there. Thank you, Dagmar. Yeah, I worked with somebody for 3 months. I can't really see justifying giving money back guarantee. You don't want your money back. You want a business that works. You want this thing to cash flow, and I'll just keep working with you until you do. Again, children are born as geniuses. I believe you're all geniuses. You all have the capability. My job is to help bring that out in you so that you can monetize your genius in the marketplace. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for attending. Again, if you have any questions about the program, questions about your business, it doesn't have to be about the program. If there's something that's just plaguing you, frustration in your business, feel free to type it in. Now is the time. We got free consulting time right now, so tap into it if you want. Got 5 people still in the room, so I'll give it another minute. If not, we'll just close out. And again, I want to thank everybody for attending. Jeffrey, you want me to give you a follow-up phone call? Was this helpful for you? Greg, was this helpful for you? Joy Grace, was this helpful for you? I hope this was a good use of your time. Dagmar, we were chatting a couple days ago, and you were saying that, these are all the pieces to get that cash register ring. You responded to my post on most people are spending too much time on the wrong side of the cash register. This content, what I'm teaching, I gave an overview of today, and what I do deeper is these are the pieces to get your cash register to ring, so you can spend more time on the right side of the cash register, that receiving side. 424-274-2117. Okay, cool. If there's no questions, I want to just thank you all. God bless you. Live long and prosper. And, let me give you an email if you have any questions. Oh, if you have any questions, you can drop me an email. And thank you all, and make it a productive day. God bless you all.